we knew that we knew how to play basketball because Coach Hudson has taught us all we knew about basketball. He had everything down to a gnat's bristle. And so we went down there to play basketball. A bunch of country boys, most of them farmers, and we didn't take second chances on anything. We were first. And the first game in Memphis, we played Memphis Treadwell. And in the third quarter, Ben Rutledge got his knee hurt, and it had to take him out. And Albert Elson fouled out in the third quarter. The ball game was pretty tight at that time. It was pretty close. They were a really rough team, but they've been playing hard all first half. And I just suggested to speed the game up a little bit because we'd practice speed the game up. And we speeded it up, and we wound up beating them about 15 points. And we had the day off the next day, so we went to the zoo, sort of recuperated from the bruises and stuff we got from Memphis Treadwell. They had a good ball team, and they were a rough ball team. And we played Holston Valley next, and Holston Valley's coach had saw us speed the game up and win, so we slowed the game down and played possession ball, and no mistakes, and we won that game. And then the third game, I played Clarksville, and they'd done the same thing. They slowed the game down, and well, that's what we wanted. We wanted to slow down because Rutledge had a brace on his leg so he could go ahead and play. He had to hobble up and down the floor. Kingsport, Dobbins Bennett, and we wound up beating them 54-48 the last game. And after the slowed down game worked for us good because we didn't make no mistakes. In 1955, and then in 1956, I was already out of school, but they won this again. And then in 1957, they won it again. They won it 3 times in a row. Hudson was, he was the smartest man I ever seen about basketball. And he never did get excited. When he wanted timeout, he had a pencil and he'd stick it under his pad. He played quarterback for Texas Christian in college. He didn't like football, but he was a good quarterback. Willie Hudson, his daddy was a preacher. He was a good man. Corrected you on your mistakes you made. Our theory was to make no mistakes, no turnover. We practiced from 11 o'clock till 12:30 every day. And then sometimes we'd practice after school. If he had something he wanted to work on, I'd practice after school. There was 167 students in 4th grade in Linden High School when we won that. They were all of them country boys, except there were 2 or 3 that lived right there in Linden, but most of them was raised out in the country, and they didn't know nothing but work. We was making history and didn't even know it. We didn't really know how good we was. far as playing basketball, but when you play against other teams, and they not in the competition where you, it really makes you feel good. He was the best shot that I've ever seen in high school basketball. Yeah, he was about 6'3". We had about three. It was about 6'3". I was about 6'1", and he's a good fella. This is the Lomas boy right here, and that's yours truly right here. And that's Gene Pascal, and that's Don Wade, and that's Ben Rutledge, and that's Coach Hudson, and that's Albert, and Eugene Grinder, James Cottom, Dan Edwards, and Billy Roberts. Most of us came from a small school in Linden. I came from Parnell School. Lomax come from Flatbush. And Grinder came from Rock House. Elson came from Cedar Creek. Ben came from Linden, and Gene Pascal came from Linden. They were raised there in town. Dan Edwards came from. There's three of them wound up as teachers and coaches: Eugene Grinder, Albert Ellison, and James Cottom. Dan Edwards wound up working for Meriwether Lewis. Billy Roberts, he run 2 or 3 stores there in Linden. He was owner of different things. Lomax wound up at a high-wise window washer, and he made a good living. He's dead now, but he was about like an Indian. He could walk around on the high
edge of anything.
Of course, them window washers on that high rise make good money. Rutledge was a doctor. He made a doctor, and Pascal wound up. He got a scholarship at Nebraska of playing basketball, but they put him down a small college after he got out there, and he didn't like it, so he wound up in the oil field, oil drilling, and he stayed with that all his whole life. And then we went to B&W cafeteria to eat, and you go down through the line, you pick up stuff, and you get down to the end, you pay for it, and the guy picks up the tray and carries it to the table. Eugene Grinder, he was right in front of me, and he was picking up stuff, and he got down to the end, and he's paying for it, and that guy picks up the tray and carries it to the table. He said, "Come back here, I'll pay for that." And my brother was a manager. He didn't think of that. He thought that just a day's work. Nothing fancy about that. Thinking that, they thought they were supposed to do that. I played all through Parnell, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and then into high school. Well, I'll tell you the story about Parnell School. They had on Brush Creek, they had three schools, Upper Brush Creek, Middle School, and Lower Brush Creek. They had 3 schools. On Queen Creek, they had 2 schools. And Chestnut Grove, they had 1. So they built Parnell School, consolidated. That's the first time consolidation come into effect. Stanley Curry was a principal over the school.
Was your mama teaching then?
No, she taught on Brush Creek.
And Aunt Helen?
Aunt Helen taught on Brush Creek. Lola Richardson, she came to Humphreys County, but When I was in the 6th grade, she was taught school at Parnell. And she had more nerve than John Dillinger did. Put all the girls in the front. She had a one-seater Dodge Coupe. And she'd put all the girls up in there and the boys in the back, and propped the back up with a broom handle. And we'd go play ball. Nobody had no money. And I can tell you another story about me. My daddy died when I was 11 years old. My brother went in service the same year, same after school. He was 17 years old. Mother had signed for him to go in. I made a crop with a team of horses that summer. 25 acres of corn and soybeans. 12 years old, well, I was 12 after I started into the crop. And some of them people up there that went to every ball game, just about it. Fred Lee Hickerson, he went to every one of them, just about it. Harold Bastin didn't say too much. He done when he got on that head, he was a real good barber. Him and Cecil Westbrooks run the barber shop. Linden Theater. There was 2 movies there at one time. I had the Buffalo Theater beside where Fred Lee used to have a store on Main Street. A store, and then they had Jesse Polk store, and then the movie, and then. When I left, I turned 19 shortly after I got out of school. Worked at Old Hickory. I got laid off, and they rehired me down here in 58. And I worked 38 years and 3 months for DuPont. Wound up the last 16, 17 years as supervisor in the powerhouse there. Well, I got a lot of people in Perry County. I know a lot of people up there. I got some property up there. So I was in everything that went on in school. Plays, programs, basketball, anything that went on. I didn't like school when I first day I went, but I loved high school. I played the old man and everything until I got old.
How are y'all doing?
Good.
One time, this nurse come up to me and said, "I know you." I said, "You got me, I don't know you." She's from Camden. Said, "You used to referee basketball games." I said, "Yeah." She said, "You refereed Camden and Lakeview." I said, "Yeah." I said, "You called a technical foul on my daughter." I thought that they gonna throw me out, and I'd call a foul on this other girl, and the one that's shooting is gonna shoot the technical, and she shot 2 and missed both of them. And a good friend of mine, so I said, "Hey, Zeke, let her shoot again." Of course, she got another shot anyway, the technical foul. I had my oldest was named Belinda Gale. Yeah, she lives in Kentucky. Her husband, he worked for DuPont. He round up at the plant manager in Ashland, Kentucky. Jane Mary Jane, she lives up at Plant. She's down here every day. And now I got Rita lives right next door.
Oh.
That cuts hair.
Yeah.
I got 6 grandkids, 5 boys and 1 girl. And the oldest one, he works for Snowshoe Lodge, and he is also the medic. And the second boy, Russell, he's a dentist.
Ashby.
Fort Ashby, West Virginia. And third boy is Philip. He's in the Army, and he is in Colorado. And he's out there somewhere. Jane's daughter. She got a master's degree from Auburn, Oakland High School. I know she's a sort of counselor over there. Rita's 2 boys. The oldest one is a pipe fitter around here somewhere. And the youngest one, Mitchell, he was here just a few minutes ago. He works for the county road supervisor. He's been with them about 7 or 8 years.
10 years.
10 years.
And he mows
So,
yards on the side.
Ever since he got out of school. And then great grandkids, I got a bunch of them. Yeah, it's sad that he went away as early as he did.